my name is Clarissa Santillana,
And I'm Julius.
and this is our movie review of Wonder Woman. So, we will start with questions first, and then during the questions, we'll go over the plot points of the movie itself. So, first question. How did you feel going into this movie, and what were your expectations?
Well, my expectations about this movie was that it was kind of going to be a boring movie based on just a girl and how it was it became uh, Wonder Woman. And I felt that it wasn't going to be a good movie since usually for DC, the brand movies are usually doesn't doesn't have good reviews. So I felt I wasn't confident enough that it was gonna be a good movie.
Have you even, well, before the movie, watching the movie, did you see any of the trailers and the interviews, any of the advertisements to promote the movie?
Well, the main character who was gonna play Wonder Woman, I really liked Gal Gadot. She was very. She also played in the series Fast and Furious, and she did really good in her role playing part of it. And so, being the main character, I felt like she would be a good fit of the role. But watching the trailer, it had a lot of hype, as in like there was a lot of good points that were showing. So it made me feel a little bit confident, but it wasn't. I was still uncertain about it.
Well, for you, it was a little uncertain and shaky. For me, it was different. It was like very big experience seeing the trailers, the first one from Comic Con all the way to the final trailer, seeing Gal Gadot and Chris Pine, which I loved their chemistry. Just seeing them in the trailers themselves and seeing all the jokes, the scenes, the fight scenes, all the clips, all of that just brought all the hype and excitement for this movie, and it was on a different level, especially being able to go opening weekend and just um, seeing that seeing a female superhero finally be brought to the blockbuster just blockbuster like theater in general. Next question: how did you feel while watching the movie?
Well, the beginning of the movie, it was very different how other movies began because basically the movie started off with Wonder Woman or Gal Gadot going into her office and receiving a photo back in time about what had happened in the past and how what her journey coming into the real world was like. So basically, it was very impressing how the movie was made and how the plot was created, and yeah, felt confident.
For me, that, well, going off what you said, yes, seeing how Diana, which Wonder Woman, same thing, started out at the Louvre. That was like just seeing her at the Louvre and was like, oh, this is a different take. I thought it was gonna be, um, well, I didn't know what the plot was, obviously, but or how it was gonna go. But watching that part was really nice to see that she's in modern times, and then she does the flashback, and then we just see her as um, her beginnings in Themyscira and her as a child, and she was so cute as a child. I loved her and her interactions with her mother and her just really wanting to fight and just wanting to learn how to do the um, how to train, how to do all the things that the other Amazons were doing. Besides that, throughout the movie, it was like a roller coaster of emotions. It was just cannot like, especially the Amazonian battle on the beach with the Germans. It was just crazy. Like watching that scene was I was going to cry. It was just that good of a scene because I didn't know that I needed to see that. It was just seeing women, like amazing women who knew how to fight and battle and, you know, just dominate, you know, just basically that, and just seeing them go and just fight the Germans, and it's just like it was like almost a piece of cake, slightly, though they had some losses. Um, Same with all the rest of the plot points. Our next question is, what were you thinking when you finished watching the movie?
Well, the ending was pretty amazing. How Diana or Wonder Woman was able to defeat Ares, which was the god of war that she was trying to defeat, so she can end the war against evil. And so basically, it was pretty good. I mean, the emotions I had, being being discomforted, how I was confused and afraid how it was gonna be a bad movie until the end of the movie, until also the credits, how it was very appealing, and also how it changed my view on the movie because it was a woman movie, and it wasn't the typical guy movie, and how usually it was just a different perspective in the superhero trilogy series.
I think for her, especially as Diana, seeing the end of the movie, the whole message, and just um, how well the plot was like put together by Patty Jenkins, the director, it was just it was so well thought out. It was very good pacing, like from the beginning of where it was just the first half or like the first third of the movie was in Themyscira, and then just going on to her and Steve going to London, and just her interactions with the people from London, and when she first gets there, and like the rules and the society that she has to go through. All of that was like, it was very charming to see how even her as Wonder Woman, as we know her as like one of those characters that's like very strong, almost on par with Superman, and just seeing her just have flaws, and just being the naive girl that she is, not knowing what it's like being in a man's world, not knowing the rules of like, oh, women are considered like they're below men somewhat, and they don't have the same rights and opportunities, and just things aren't the same for women. They're expected to be in a certain place. That was like really nice to see how she overcame that. She saw all of that, and then she overcame it because she, just because she didn't know it, she just didn't oblige to the rules, you know. And then going on to the war scenes, it was just like the whole movie, or the reason why she even went to London or went with Steve, was because, oh, this is the war. I need to, if I can stop this and, you know, save all these millions of lives, then I'll do it. I'll go and risk my life to do it. And seeing her go to the front, and just seeing how her face was like, yes, I'm going to the front. I'm finally going to be able to do the mission that I came here to do. And then just see that, like, oh, wait a second. This is it's obviously World War One, and just seeing all of the effects of war, seeing all the people injured, people with lost limbs, faces like disfigured, all of that. It's just seeing all of that was very, like, seeing her reaction to that, like her face quickly changed to that, was really like, my goodness, that was it, it just shows how much naivety is, but then it shows once again her flaws, and just shows her the the way her mind works and how she understands war now because of seeing that. To the ending part, that was once again, it was just like the war, and just seeing how she, especially that one scene where um she's with Captain Ludendorff, and she thinks that it's him, that he's Ares, and then she kills him, and she's like, wait a minute, I think that's it. I've killed Ares. I can, like, you know, like, everybody should stop fighting because he's gone now. But then that's not the reality, and Steve comes in and is like, wait, it might just be our nature as humans to just be like, you know, we're good and evil. There's just that, both of that in us, and we can't do anything about it. And then he asks her, like, wait, can you please help me? Like, if you really believe that this war needs to end and we should save these people, please help me, like, stop it. And she has to take a step back, and he's like, I can't help you anymore. It just, like, seeing her realization to that was just it was really, it just put war in a new perspective, especially for me, who I'm not really a big fan of war movies. It's just that was the whole plot of the story. I'm just really amazed and impressed with Patty Jenkins. So I'm sorry, went on a rant. On to our next question. What part of the story was the most powerful and why? Go, brother.
I think the most important part of the story was basically how she wanted to go. She wanted to go out to where she lives and go to the real world to go fight Ares, and how the war was still continuing, while her mother was trying to stop her and saying that they don't deserve you, and how woman is more powerful than men, and how men are very, very, very unwanting, and how they treat women, so they shouldn't be able to get women's help. So yeah, the reason why I think it's very important, because like real world connections, there's very sexism, and also how there's gender differences, how men think they're more superior than women these days. And so her stepping out of her comfort zone to go and help the men and show her that woman is more, can be more superior, is very world changing, and how it inspires other women to step out of their comfort zone and do what they believe in.
I agree, definitely. Like, the most powerful part of this story, to name specific scenes, is the one where she decides to go into no man's land. And like before she even goes there, Steve tells her like no man has ever conquered this they've been here for a year and they've not moved an inch. It's like the war is just at a stalemate, and they can't do anything. People are dying, people are getting injured, wounded, all of that. And it's just like the war isn't improved, like there's nothing, it's just there. And Diana's all like, if you guys aren't going to do anything, I will. It's what I came here to do. And then she walks up that ladder, and with her full, armor, all of that, all revealed to us, and the music along with that, just like it heightened that moment and just made it more powerful, because it was like, if no man has ever conquered it, even if, yes, I'm a woman, but I will conquer it, and I will do my best to go after and defeat the people and go save this town, which, yes, that's also a reason why she goes through no man's land, is because she wants to save the town when no one else wanted to. So just seeing her just go through no man's land all alone and then just deflect the bullets and just fight all the Germans alone, she's like halfway, not even halfway, she's like 3/4 of the way, like right next to the Germans, and they're like trenched. And that's just when Steve, his group, and all the other soldiers come in and just like, yeah, let's go help her now. And it's just like, it's the power of that moment where it's like, I want to make this change, is very powerful. The other scene, like I said earlier, that was very powerful, especially for me, was the battle scene on the beach in Themyscira. And just, once again, seeing women so powerful, so dominant, just being able to defend themselves. Like, we don't see that, and we don't expect that of women nowadays. It's always like, we're always the damsels in distress, and it's always the guys needing to save us. But in this one, it's like, the Amazons were able to, like, defend themselves. It was just like, once again, it was just seeing them charge at the Germans, all of them in their armor, was just amazing. So those were the two scenes that I thought were very powerful. What was your favorite scene of the movie, and why?
I'm referring to you the battle in No Man's Island, or No Man's Land.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was basically one of the the best highlight of the movie, in my opinion, because it basically showed how much of a badass she is, and so how she wasn't afraid to do something. How compared to the other men, just because they didn't do anything or there wasn't any improvement to how much they can conquer the land, they just pause and stop and they're acting scared. While compared to Wonder Woman or Diana, she she mans up and she just runs across the field and starts beating beating them. And so doing this, it shows how women can have the same power as men, and that we shouldn't be able to judge anyone just because of their sex.
Hmm.
So yeah.
For me, the story or part of the story that was the most powerful, besides the ones I mentioned earlier, was, now that I'm looking back on it, the one where she is in, or she's with Steve, and they're in this room filled with all the generals, and the generals like say, oh yeah, like they're doing the armistice, and it's just like, we're gonna sacrifice those lives in the front and just not help them. And Diana's just all fired up, and she's like, wait, but you guys are the generals, why are you guys back here? Like, you guys are planning, you're supposed to be like, as generals, it's your job to go and fight with your soldiers, with your men in the front. Like, why are you guys here planning and just being behind like closed doors and just being basically a coward, is what you called them. And just seeing that, and it was just like, her her strength and her courage, her bravery to like just call them out and just call them cowards, was one that was very one of my favorite scenes. The other was the in the third act of the movie, where she she's holding a tank above her head, and in front of her is Dr. Poison, one of the villains of the movie. And she's Dr. Poison is in a very vulnerable state, just looking at Diana, like straight eye to eye contact, like, I'm here on the ground, I'm defeated right now, what do you want to do to me? And are you going to kill me? Is the question, because Diana does have that tank above her head, and she just has that flashback of um, what Steve said to her before he goes on the plane to sacrifice himself, basically, in order to protect everyone from the gas that Dr. Poison made. And she comes to the realization that, yes, men are evil. Well, there is evil in them, but there's also good, and we also have to look. It's like a yin and yang thing, basically, where it's there's good and bad in everything, and we should look at both sides. And what she said in that specific scene, which I thought was my favorite part, I'm sorry, is that she said, it's not what you deserve, it's what you believe. And she said that she believes in love, and that was like one of the morals of the story, is just seeing that despite the evil, despite this world that we know of as being destructive, chaotic, and all of the negative qualities you can see in a world, she believes in seeing the good in it. No matter how small it is, you should still believe in that good and that love, and that love can conquer all. So that's what I think was my most memorable and favorite scenes. Um, Next question: what weaknesses, if any, did you see in the film?
Well, for me, I kind of like a lot of action in my movies. So basically, probably a more or a little bit more of action, and how she's like very attractive, but making her fight in war or in battles makes her more attractive. So for me, I think if there would be more action, it would probably be a little bit better than how it was created.
I think for me, there's honestly, overall, this movie was amazing. So I'm just being very nitpicky here, but I think one of the weaknesses was the villains. Not that I'm saying that the way, I feel like they basically need more development, because you can't, like, Dr. Poison, like, her as a villain was good, like a good concept, but just they didn't develop her character enough or have more screen time of her so that we can see her as a character, as a villain. Um, and then Ares, like, coming out of nowhere, Sir Patrick is Ares, and you're just like, whoa, we thought it was all Ludendorff, like the general who had super strength because of that, like pill that he would sniff and then make him stronger. So that a bit was a curveball, but then I understood the director's, like Patty Jenkins' choice of doing that and making that switch. So I kind of understand it. I just wish that the villains were a bit more developed. So next question: if you were writing the screenplay for this movie, would you have changed the ending? Yes or no, and explain.
I wouldn't change the ending because basically the whole point was her goal to going into the real world to London is to find Ares and defeat it so that there wouldn't be any wars. And so she achieved that goal, and so I don't really think there should be any change to the ending.
I agree, honestly. There's no change, even with the nitpick that I said, which is the villains that they're underdeveloped, or yeah, they didn't have much screenplay, or we didn't understand them as a villain, their motives behind being a villain. I still feel like the way that the story played out, the plot, the way it was played by the actors, their performances, it was just overall it was perfect. I don't feel like you could really change anything, especially with the ending, because it was just like, where else are you gonna reveal that Sir Patrick is Ares, And I feel like that one moment too, where they were at the watchtower, and then he's like fading in and out through the windows, and it's just like it was that creepy moment where you realize that yeah, he is Ares, and that was like that's good enough for me. Like introduce him as the villain. Next question: did you come to respect any of the characters in this movie? Who was it, and why did you come to respect that character?
Probably the main character, Gal Gadot or Diana. Probably because she was a woman, and I didn't really think she wasn't fit for the movie. But after seeing the movie, it really changed my view on her because the way she acted, she was very into it, and she really had a passion into it, and how very appealing she was for fans.
For me, I already had respect for Diana, for Gal Gadot, for as playing Diana. I believe that Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman, is Diana. Like it's just like Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. I believe that she is Wonder Woman. She is Diana. Like that. The casting role was perfect. I just see her in that role. The character that I felt so much respect for at the end of this was honestly Steve, because Steve, even if he was like the co-lead, like he wasn't the main character, but he was like somewhat of a main character. This movie was honestly Steve and Diana, and just their relationship together and how that developed. But just because he accepted when he was vulnerable, when he was, weak, and he accepted that and didn't make it seem as if I need to be a man, and just it's because I'm a man I need to like be always the savior, and like I shouldn't let Diana do these things. He accepted when he was like less powerful than Diana, and one of those was when toward the beginning of the film, when they arrive at London, is when one of the Germans come and try to take back the book from Steve that he stole from them in the alleyway, and it's like that homage to the Superman movie where Diana's in her getup with the glasses, and then she saves Steve through the deflecting of the bullet through the bracelets. And that in that instance where he's like, okay, never mind, you can go and fight and like defend me in a way, that was why I kind of started to respect him. It was just them two as characters, their development and the way they interacted, their chemistry, and just seeing them just seeing them grow and learn from each other because they're from two different worlds was just one of the reasons why I respected Steve and Diana, obviously, especially for their performances, but just in general. Okay, next question. If you had a chance to ask a character in this movie a question, what would it be?
Probably Chris Pine or the co-leading actor, Steve. Probably if it would be. Did you ever, while working with Gal Gadot, have you ever developed any feelings for her? Because watching her, it kind of made me fanboy her so much and develop a celebrity crush on her. So yeah.
I think, well, I'd ask two questions, and it'd be two different characters. First one would be for Diana. Sorry, spoilers. I've been spoiling the plot if you haven't seen. Um, but I would ask her. The question would be, sorry, what now? After the World War One is over and Steve dies. Sorry, Steve dies, and we see her, her character at least, in the square, and she looks up, and the camera's looking down at her, and it just shows how she's now all alone in this world. Like, I would want to ask Diana, like, so what now? What are you gonna do? That would be one of my questions. And then my second question would be to Hippolyta, Queen Hippolyta from Themyscira, and that question would be why, or if not why, but like, is Diana able to return to Themyscira? Because she said in the beginning of the movie when Diana and Steve were leaving, like, you may not be able to return. So in that sense, I'd ask Queen Hippolyta, so does that mean she can't return forever, or is that like, and is it like you need to do this, or is it like protocol? Like, what's the deal with that? So those are my two questions. Next question. Did you learn anything new from this movie, and if so, what?
I think that there's two main points that I learned from this. Well, one of it was, well, love can make a difference, and also gender difference and sexism. And so, with love can make a difference. If we have true feelings for a person and what we believe, we should. It can make a difference around the world. Like right now, there's so many terrorist attacks around the world and also violence. So if we learn to love one another, this world can probably be a better place to live, and it would be safer as well. And also gender difference. Just because we have our own differences, we shouldn't like think that, oh, we're more superior than this person or that, or because we all have our strengths and our weaknesses, so we can't say that, oh, this and that. But technically, if you think about it, we're all equal.
I agree. I also think that those were the lessons that I learned because, like, besides the feminism, besides the gender difference and equality and just love in general, all of that, what we well, the way that they portrayed those messages, I just especially loved because they didn't really hit you hard on the nose with it. It was very like very it wasn't very like in your face. It was just very clean, very like not very not subliminal, but it was just there. That's the message, you know, and just seeing for me the whole part of the gender difference thing, seeing that play out with Steve and Diana and just how they interact with the world was very much was really nice to see because Steve especially didn't make it seem like he was above Diana. In fact, he made it seem like they were equals, always equals. They're always learning from each other, you know, and they helped each other grow as a person, as a character, their personality, you know, and just all of that, especially factor in the other characters, the supporting characters, and just how they also um, their how their perspective changed because of what Diana brought to the table. Love, of course, is gonna always conquer all, and like you said, it's just nowadays there's so many terrorist attacks. There's like nonstop violence. It's all we seem to see in the world, and we can't just see that if we just loved everyone, we didn't have any labels, none of that, it would just make our world a different place and make it more better than it usually is. So, next question. How does this movie relate to our world and society now?
Basically, it relates to the world because, like I said, gender differences. So this movie can make a difference or change a person's perspective on what they think about gender differences because this movie portrays is basically about women trying to prove that they shouldn't be underrated or discriminated by male
Mm-hmm.
because they can do what guys can do too. So yeah.
Well, yes, same thing, basically. It's like just because you're different gender doesn't mean you can't do the same things, just like you said. Um, Another thing I also think that relates to our world and society now is that whole violence that I talked about. The whole violence and love, and we need to see the love, we need to see the kindness in man, the good in man, in mankind, and not see the evil, the violence, all of the death and destruction that we can cause. Like, that whole message in itself was why this movie felt so good. It was so good of a movie that is just like, that whole message, though it wasn't in your face much, it was like there, we need to accept it, see the world as it is, and maybe change and become a better person because of what we learned through the film. So that's how I see that the movie relates to our world now. Next question. What do you think is the future of this franchise? Do you think this movie overall has saved the DC Extended Universe? And if so, do you think Wonder Woman should get a sequel? So many questions, I know. We'll answer them one by one.
Uh, the future of this franchise is kind of bright because after making this movie, and hopefully people watch this movie to realize how DC is making a comeback because for the past few years they haven't been making good movies. This will turn their franchise around because there's another movie upcoming, it's coming out in November, Justice League. So hopefully that movie is also good too because it might be the continuation in some ways of Wonder Woman teaming up with other superheroes. And so yeah, I also think that they should make another sequel because it's also good for a woman to have some shine in movies also. So yeah.
For me, of course, the future of this franchise is going to be amazing. After seeing the movie, I was just so excited for Justice League, and it's like a few months away. I came home and I was watching the trailers for Justice League, and then watching movie reviews, just like the one we're doing about Wonder Woman, and just wanting basically to see Wonder Woman again and again and again, which is why I feel like Wonder Woman should get a sequel, and I believe they probably like Warner Brothers is probably going to create a sequel because the the critics and just the audience just love this movie. Like opening weekend, and they won or not won, but earned $103.5 million, and that's just opening weekend once again. So seeing this is the second week that the film is out, and just seeing how much money it creates or earns, I think that it'll be it's probably done. It's a done deal that Warner Brothers will create another sequel, and basically Patty Jenkins, hopefully, which I think it is, will create that movie, direct it with Gal, um, I honestly wished that Steve was still in the movie, but he died, and well, we can't do anything about that. Um, as far as did this movie save the DC EU? I think it did. Maybe. I think it did. Honestly, I think it really did. But then again, um, we still have to wait because Justice League was almost done. Like, it's coming out the same year as Wonder Woman. The scenes are already done. You know, it could take another turn for the better or worse. We'll see. Maybe they add more Wonder Woman to Justice League, and it's gonna be, yes, we get more Wonder Woman, we get more Diana, and just seeing her and um after 100 years, after a century, what has she been doing now? I don't know. Just overall, I want to see it again. So I think this leads us to our last question, which is overall, what would you rate the film and would you recommend it to anyone?
I would obviously recommend the movie to legit everyone, all ages, no matter if you're young or if you're old, because you'll find some parts that you'll enjoy. And probably I would rate this like an 8 or a 9.
For me, definitely, I'd recommend this to anyone and everyone. Just, I've been asking since I've watched it, like, hey, have you guys watched Wonder Woman and all of that? And just like, I really want to talk to someone about Wonder Woman, which this is why we're doing this movie review. And just my ratings of it would basically be like a 9 out of 10 or 9.5 out of 10. I just really love this movie. It's charming. I love the jokes, the just the love and care that Patty Jenkins did in creating this movie and creating Diana's origin story. It's just really nice and refreshing to see something new that a female director has, like, her first time doing, like, for superheroes. Like, this is the first woman directed superhero film. So it was very nice to see and refreshing to see that it was like everybody was so blown away. So that concludes our movie review. We would definitely recommend it. We totally ask you and to watch it and then comment, or maybe look at one of our social media accounts and try to start a conversation there about Wonder Woman. Tell us what you guys think. Once again, this is Clarissa.
And I'm Joyous.
Thanks for watching.